Hi, my name's Damien, and I worked behind the scenes on the film, TV, and animation industry for years. I worked on the TV series Animator, post-production on Baz Luhrmann's Australia, and more. But I never actually animated. Until now. I've been fascinated with animation ever since I was a kid after receiving a book on the subject for my birthday. But apart from making a few flick books and post-it notebooks, I never really put it into practice. But in the early 2000s, I decided I was going to finally try and break into the industry. At the time, I was kind of just working in random factories, and I ended up spending 7 years working in sign fabrication. But then I saw an opportunity, a crash course at a local animation facility with a chance of getting hired at the end. So I took the course and produced some decent, if not short, test work, and I was invited to take the trial. It didn't go well. Earlier that day, I'd actually failed my driver's license test, so my confidence was already shot. Then I went straight to the trial where I showed up in bad headspace. I misinterpreted the instructions, and that's the dream over. Up until that point, I'd only dabbled in animation. I did some terrible stop motion tests and a few short head turn animations. I even built a professional lightbox with the intention on taking it further. But as usual, life moved on. I kept working odd jobs, then I started dabbling with 3D animation. I learned to use Maya, and I almost finished something. And I got myself a camera, I started making my own short films, and I even met a few other people doing the same. I helped out on a few of their films and slowly started building a body of work. By 2006, I started to piece together a bit of a folio of artwork, and I started applying at production houses. I did this for about 2 weeks, and then it happened. I got a call to come into an interview at an animation and post-production facility called Photon VFX, located on the back lot of Movie World Studios on the Gold Coast. And I got the job as a production assistant. The job wasn't in animation, but it was in a real animation facility. Surrounded by 100 plus artists, it was a dream come true. At the time, they were working on a 3D animation series called Animator based on the books of the same name. My job was to enter the production data into the custom wiki for the facility. Character design, scene layouts, notes from the producers, all that sort of stuff. I learned everything that I could about animation workflows, and I had access to full versions of the software. I also had the opportunity to work closely with the director on project proposals, and I edited some of the facility's promotion reels. Then I even got to edit the official Warner Roadshow Studios reel. But after 2 years, it all came crashing down. The Aussie dollar surged, the international contracts dried up, and the local film industry just imploded. Along with many others, the studio shut down, and I was back out of a job. With nothing left for me in the industry, I went back working in factories and the occasional AV teching gig on the weekends. And that seemed like the end of it yet again, until 2024. After almost 20 years, I decided to actually try and animate something. I started small, experimenting with Clip Studio Paint EX and Blender. My first short, The General, is just a lip-syncing test using Blender's grease pencil.
If there's one thing that I learned in all my time in the war was that I did the biggest coup and it made it look like a chocolate drop, and I put it on a biscuit and gave it to the captain.
From that, I tried King of Hearts, which is lip sync and with some added basic camera moves in Clip Studio Paint EX.
What's that? Oh, it's just me. Scared the Jesus out of me.
And by the end of that project, I had the confidence that I could take on something a little bit bigger. And that's when Incompetent Elytra Pilot happened. Finally! It was based on a real moment while streaming Minecraft with my daughter. Basically, you go to the end, get an Elytra, and instantly get killed and lose everything. I storyboarded the whole thing, did the timing, and added some audio in DaVinci Resolve. Then I imported all of the pieces into Clip Studio Paint to use as a reference. This was a lot more work than I expected. More than 600 hand-drawn frames and loops, and around 100 hours work split over about 4.5 weeks. And it's still not perfect. Some of the movement was really hard to figure out. Some frames look pretty, well, rough. But thanks to the speed of the action, I got away with it. Kinda. Yoink! But the main key here is I actually finished it. For the first time, I actually completed a full animation project, and I learned a heap along the way. Layout, timing, storytelling, and all the quirks of modern animation software. There's still a lot more to learn, but now I've got the confidence to take on larger or more complicated projects. Thanks for watching, and if you're curious about how I made Incompetent Elytra Pilot, just let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can break it all down in another video.
If there's one thing that I learned in all my time in the war was that I did the biggest poo and it made it look like a chocolate drop, and I put it on a biscuit and gave it to the captain.